Let's take a look at next week's football schedule. Probably the game that I'll be at is at East at Guilford. That's a Rockford City Challenge game. That'll be a good game because East is good and Guilford's going to want to make up for that loss to Freeport last night. But a game probably highlighting the schedule now is Hononegah taking on Belvedere North. Both teams undefeated going into that game.
There's a good chance that that's your conference right there. Obviously there's some other big games left depending how that shakes out. I mean, Hononegah would still have to play Auburn and still have to play Harlem, and Harlem's not out of this thing either. Don't get me wrong on that one, but whoever wins that game right there is going to be your favorite to win the conference. And if it's Belvedere North that wins, boy, they're going to be looking good because all they'll have left really is Harlem. The rest of their games after that, not that they'll be easy the way this conference is shaking out, but they'll definitely be the favorites probably in all their games, other than maybe Harlem the rest of the year after that. That's a huge game, and at this point, it's hard to doubt Belvedere North the way they're playing.
No, Jeff Beck, I think he's the answer to the problem.
He is. He definitely is.
They went through 3 or 4 coaches.
Yeah.
And then bang, boom.
Yeah, and boy, they just got it rolling now. They are doing very, very good.
And another game that probably people will be looking at is Harlem and Boylan, especially Boylan giving Hononegah a scare last night.
Well, as we said before, Boylan lost to Hononegah by 1. They lost to Belvedere by 1. They were very competitive against Auburn. Harlem's going to be up for the game. Obviously, anytime you play Boylan, regardless of what their season is going, they're going to be excited for it. So, but that'll be a big game. Harlem, obviously needs to win, keep pace with whoever wins that Hononegah Belvedere North game. But Boylan's going to be looking for that first win. I think that's going to be a big game.
Other games, Jefferson and Freeport, and Belvedere will be at Auburn. That'll be interesting.
Another big game there, too. Both teams 2-1. Both teams still, in this conference race, because as we said,
better play every night.
With it being the kind of conference where anybody can beat anybody, I think, that's a huge game. Both teams whoever loses can still make the playoffs, but whoever loses probably doesn't have a shot at winning the conference anymore, so that's a big game.
And the Big Northern West, guess who gets Luther next week? They'll be at Winnebago. Winnebago is a great place to watch a game, folks. I had a lot of fun last night. But their main thing is how to stop James Robinson.
I don't think you can.
Maybe just slow him up a little bit?
Maybe you try to slow him up a little bit. I think the strategy is how can you keep pace with his points? Because I don't think you stop him. What's his lowest game so far this year? 6 touchdowns? In the opener against Quincy Notre Dame.
And one was a kickoff return.
Yeah. So I mean, you're almost better, kicking the ball out of bounds. Yeah. Let them have the ball at the 40. And
maybe that's what they're doing now, too. I don't know.
I don't know. But, I don't know what you do there.
Get there early. I know when you go to Winnebago, get there early, because I got there, I thought, early, and I was late. Other than that, Mendota's at Stillman Valley, so Stillman Valley will still have that emotional first home game.
Yeah.
And that'll be one of those things. I'll tell you what, North Boone won last night.
Yeah.
They played pretty well. They'll be at Johnsburg. Johnsburg, a really good team. Here's the NUIC game. We're getting to follow that a lot more because they got like 6 teams in the top 10 in rankings. Galena will be at Lena Winslow. You had some interesting information about Galena.
I was told they had some players that were that weren't allowed to play the first 3 games, so they missed last night too. But this should be their first game back. And my understanding was, it's 3 starters, 3 pretty important players.
Both ways.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a big game. Galena was ranked number 1 for a reason. I know they lost to Forreston, but they were up there for a reason. And Lena Winslow's now ranked number 1. That's going to be a huge game. Probably one of the best in the Stateline, when you look at things.
And we might want to mention, because they're playing today, Christian Life at Westminster Christian in a Northeastern Athletic Conference game. And I know, Coach...
Game they should win. Next week will be the big one, though.
Yeah, they got
against Ottawa Marquette, who's playing some good football.
And Coach Ambrosio keeps saying, I would like to play games on Friday nights.
Yeah.
So he's not a real big fan of Saturdays, but sometimes those schools have to share fields or get a field
and
stuff like that. Next year they'll be playing South Beloit will be on that schedule.
There you go.
And next week they'll also play a Saturday game, Christian, like that game you're talking about.
Yeah.
Those 2 teams have been so far, and Chicago Hope this year is having a good year.
Yep.
That's kind of the cream of the crop right there.
Those have been your 3 teams. Ottawa Marquette kind of fell off a little bit last year, but those have been your 3 teams consistently in that conference. So that's going to be a big game to figure out really where Christian Life is after losing Brady Pond from last year. Adam Ambrosio, Coach's son, has been playing great for them.
He's a big
quarterback. He is big.
Ask his dad how he got that big. He'll tell you.
He is big. He'll tell you. Yeah, he will. But
and before we go, let's say it again. there's going to be a lot of talk in the Big Northern West about Lutheran's win. I'm not picking on Luther because I love him, and I love James Robinson.
400 some odd yards, 7 touchdowns and a half, and a 95 to whatever win.
Have you ever heard of the public-private debate?
Yeah, I think it's going to really kick up this week here.
So that'll give you something to think about over the weekend. Michigan State, well, go ahead.
Michigan State got Oregon tonight. I was going to say, but there was games where Lutheran was getting beat. Maybe not quite that bad, but 65
there was no mercy shown.
65 to 7, that kind of stuff. So yeah.
I guess.
And Coach Pizzali will tell you about
I like him. He don't care. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a great interview too.